what you see, like a battery. I'm staying charged on my feet, I'm like a factory. Dropping lines like an assembly, I'm staying on point.
Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to ZukaTube. Now today, I'm going to be reviewing a movie called Riders of Justice with your boy Eminem, Mads Mikkelsen. Now this movie is in Danish. I'm going to play the trailer. It's got subtitles on it. I'm going to talk a little over the trailer. We're going to go into a summary. I'm going to give my basic review, and then we'll dive into some spoilers. So let's get right into this trailer here. Mads Mikkelsen's wife is named... her name. She's only in the beginning here. But that's Marcus. Military guy. Obviously, he's dealing with some trauma. Oh my god, these two guys, they're pretty wacky. Now, mind you, this is actually listed as an action comedy, which is a little few and far between.
Tandem Olesen, der er præsident for rockergruppen Riders of Justice. Det var et attentat. Jeg beder om at finde alt, hvad jeg kan for rockergruppen Riders of Justice.
Now, obviously you hear his voice, right? You hear Mads Mikkelsen's voice. The dub is not that at all. Oh my goodness. Definitely funny. That guy's really cool. Now this crew is actually like, I guess, the funny aspect of this movie. They are actually hilarious. Damn, look at him. Marcus, brushing it. Look at Big Boy all concerned. Looks like he killed someone.
Det er jo ikke fordi vi skal bombe en vuggestue. Vi er med. Starter med at placere buffer i fjeder. Ja, jeg kan bare godt lide os. Så er han færdig på andenpladsen.
Yeah, so you can see a slight bit of comedy, but this movie overall is a lot more serious than I think they should have categorized it as.
De ved, hvem I er, og de kommer ikke til at stoppe, medmindre vi dræber dem først.
Hvad der sker, far?
Klar.
Man, pretty epic trailer, I would say. Wow, so very cool trailer. I don't know why it's listed as more of an action comedy, because it's obviously a lot more serious. Like you can even tell in the trailer, it's a fairly serious movie, right? And basically what they give you for the summary here is that Marcus, right? He's in the military. He returns home to care for his daughter when his wife dies in a tragic train accident that you see right in the beginning of the trailer, right? However, when a survivor of the wreck, right, surfaces and claims foul play, Marcus suspects his wife was murdered and embarks on a mission to find those responsible. Now, that's pretty much the general gist of this, right? The guys they show you in the trailer, Otto and Leonard, and then you see Big Boy, right? He pretty much doubts what happened on the train. And in the beginning, when that happens, he gives up his seat. And then, you know, you see the wife die in the train accident and the daughter's alive and he's alive. And he feels so guilty. And on top of that, this guy is like a algorithm genius. You know, he works on algorithms for this company. They show you in the beginning. And there's a lot more deeper meaning in this movie, I feel like, overall, that is definitely worth paying attention to. But overall, like, the action and the general story is pretty cut and dry, you know, typical, you know, family member dies, you're mourning, you suspect foul play, and you go after the people responsible. Definitely very much an average story, but there's more. The main quote that I heard in this movie that really rang for me, right, was a priest in the movie that specifically said, "Where do you go with your fears and loneliness?" And that is huge in this movie. Like, Mads Mikkelsen's character Marcus, I mean, he is as stone cold gets. Granted, he cares about his family, but he is cold, he is separate from them, and all that typical stuff. Not to the point where he's necessarily a physically abusive guy, but he is definitely, in a sense, a mentally abusive person because of how different he is and how the people around him take that. And I want you to keep that in mind when you watch this movie, or, you know, if you've already watched this movie, maybe reflect on this a bit. This movie generally is a major discussion about the border between believing in God and, you know, atheism. And at the same time, it's a major discussion about coincidence and the difference between what people would say would be like fate, let's say, or just coincidence. And man, does that really change the way this movie plays out. Like, you see a couple moments where things kind of get thrown for a loop or seem a little off with the general drive of this mission, that you start to maybe contemplate, you know, what is anybody really doing this for? And obviously, if they're making the right decisions. Now, I'm going to leave it at that. Obviously, it's a little bit deeper than that, but it's a really great movie. Obviously, Mads Mikkelsen does a very good job. He does a really good, I guess, very serious and almost like just generally frightening individual. Like, he is, like I said, very stone, and it's great. The characters that come and approach him with this issue, and then they become kind of a team. Those three people, they don't show it much in the trailer, but these guys are people that suffer severe mental illnesses. They're quite different and drastically contrasted, you know, individuals between each other. They are definitely having severe issues, not only in their lives, but just in their heads, and it reflects very well in the movie, and the way they play off of it in the movie is really, I don't know, enjoyable to watch. Everything goes well. The dialogue is good. At least the dub is, I notice, obviously different than the subs, but the dialogue is very good. This movie came out the 18th of February, and I believe that was in Russia. I think it just came out to purchase. But yeah, so it's definitely worth watching this movie. And I would give this movie a solid like 8 out of 10. It's a little bit of a slower pace, but the action is very good. The dialogue is good. It's not music heavy, but the way they present the movie is very good. And I think that overall, the larger discussion to pay attention to and to kind of let play out and debate with yourself about is the main enjoyable part of this movie that I really was driven by. Now, I want to get into a little bit of spoilers on this one, so let's do our little spoiler thing. Spoilers. So, spoilers. Oh man. All right. So, spoiler time, right? Okay, so this movie, right, is gnarly. Like, when he's going through and he's on his killing spree and all that stuff, and you start to find out that these motherfuckers didn't calculate things correct, and this might be a total coincidence. Back to my reference of coincidence. Like, and literally you see the emotional switch in Marcus's character when everything crumbles around him, because this is the guy that lived his life following orders for the military. Everything was cut and dry. Everything was pretty much order driven or data driven. Here they are with a mission for him. Everything seems like a go, 100% match, it seems like. And then when this thing cracks that it was potentially a coincidence and they didn't do the facial recognition that they were trying to attempt properly, and it was a different person, holy crap, he has a mental breakdown. It is very emotional. It's really, really, like, man, his performance is great. I really wish it was in English to begin with, because like I would have loved to have like heard all this stuff going down without the dub that kind of throws you off a bit, because the pitch of the guy's voice in the dub is like quite a bit different than his in real life, if you've obviously watched him in other movies. But man, holy crap, when that happens and you realize that he went after all these gang members and things got so deep and it was literally a coincidence, Like, holy crap. And I mean, granted, he still wants to follow through. He still did a good thing in his mind because he is stopping these like awful criminals. So there is that kind of criminal vigilante aspect of it that comes into play at that moment. And when, you know, they kind of storm the family home after they find out who Marcus is and who the other guys are, and that whole shootout goes out, and they take the daughter and the other kid, and Marcus is ready. He realizes what he has done. He feels like he has to pay for what he did, and he goes out to sacrifice himself. And when you see his friends come in and everybody gets in the last final shootout and gets everybody, and then even then, this guy still doesn't give the time of day for discussion with this criminal at all, and the leader just boom, just pops him right at the end. And you're just like, I love that they did that with him, and they didn't make him, you know, break into a character that you knew he wouldn't really be. Like, they wouldn't need him to do that kind of crazy dialogue and sentiment. Even after when his daughter gets shot in that process and he goes to march out to the road to get to the authorities faster, and you see him kind of dying and he's giving his, you know, potential last words to his daughter. It is very cold. It is very short, but you can tell he really obviously loves her and he's very sorry. And that is like pretty well presented to you in this movie. And this movie is pretty solid from start to finish. I very much enjoyed it. If you've seen this movie or are watching it, you know, after the fact, after you've heard what I've said about it, you know, let me know what you think of this movie. I very much enjoyed this kind of character as well for Mads Mikkelsen, especially after watching him in like Casino Royale, Doctor Strange, Hannibal, stuff like that. This was a really good character, and definitely recommend this movie. Again, 8 out of 10. Definitely check out Riders of Justice. Zukatube out.
What you see like a battery. I'm staying charged on my feet. I'm like a factory. Dropping lines like an assembly. I'm staying on point. It's my strategy. Feel like they tracking me. Yo, let me get on one. Nah, go get your tracks up. Homie, can I steal some? Homie, you can't stack up. My brother, can you shout me? You're barking up the wrong tree. My dog, why do you doubt me? Cause you can't do shit without me.
Real at the radio and never play it, but that's cool. The enemy's supposed to hate it.